everyone, to the R.E.S.T podcast, where our goal is to help each and every one of you displace confusion, chaos, and dis-ease in order to heal and find significance in life. I am here with the author of the Reconstitution Method for Healing and Rest, Virginia Dixon.
Liliana, you talked a little bit in the last segment about
the gut.
The gut.
Yes.
And the consequence of fear about the future, which is something very relevant, very tangible for all of us. I am seeing a lot of not just irritable bowel syndrome, but an incredible amount of digestive problems, which, by the way, are at the root of eating disorders. It's not just the emotional constitution of an eating disorders. It's the physiological consequence that it has on a system that just doesn't feel well. Right?
Absolutely.
And wanting to take control and dominion over things. So there's a lot of complexities there, and I don't want to get into that. But I do want to address colon cancer in this demographic because it's become epidemic between the ages of our listening audience.
We're seeing it younger and younger. I had a patient the other day who was like 18 years old.
That's right.
Oh, my Lord.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what? You know? And so again,
colon cancer, for God's sake.
Well, I'll think about it this way is like, it's hard for us to digest life.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, that's just the bottom line to it. When you're a child, you know, the natural tendency is for because the child needs to know that their mother has a joy so that they will joyfully care for you. They absorb the mother's stress and the anxiety and all of those emotions. The child absorbs it and it goes straight to the stomach.
Yeah. Well, and I want to address another
Colic,
thing.
all of these things,
Totally.
Diarrhea, constipation, eczema, psoriasis that these children have. This is the environment of the home. They're not able to digest this environment. And so unfortunately, because we live in such a polluted existence on all levels, not just environmentally, is that we are getting so many unseen toxins, whether it's through visual toxins of watching the news and hearing it, or whether actually we're consuming things that say natural on it, but really this grain has been sprayed with, glyphosates, which is Roundup, which is cancer causing, or that this, is marketed as healthy, but really it is all this polyunsaturated fatty acids that just can create a lot of havoc in the body. So we've been duped. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that and ideas have consequences. Thoughts are the most powerful things we need to protect.
yeah.
In addition to everything you're saying, and what I'm seeing is that we're calling right wrong and wrong right,
Yep.
truth lies, and lies truth.
That's not a political statement that you're making.
No.
Either.
It's just factual.
Yeah.
And we're now being told that a man is not a man and a woman's not a woman and everybody gets to decide. Yet you and I have labs. We have information congruent with science that says otherwise. But we're supposed to, this is not a political statement, but we're supposed to say that all that science now is not relevant because this person is a master of their destiny and they get to decide who they are.
Right.
And it's absurd. That's going to cause, and regardless of what your personal convictions are, that's going to cause your body an incredible amount of stress.
Yeah.
Because your capacity to reason is saying contrary to what society, jobs, conflict they're telling you to do. And
You're
I hate
feeling
to
one thing, but you're hearing another.
Right.
So who do you believe?
And we're coming out of an era, and you pointed this out during our break, of this plague that has engulfed the world.
Yeah.
And the powers that be proposed solutions for this. And because we're all capable, thinking, professional people in our respective spheres, there was other ideas about what was happening and how it needed to be responded to. But the governments, the institutions, began to impose their method, which is no problem. Sometimes you have to do that. But something didn't fly. Something wasn't congruent with our affections and our capacity to reason. And of course, you have scholars on both sides giving you conflicting information on many topics, by the way, right? Not just the plague that engulfed us, but now all of a sudden, like Niagara Falls, gender, sex, transitioning in all kinds of spheres, not just physically but all these conflicted ideas are emerging. And honestly, I hear most of this demographic from 22 to 47, let's say 18 to 50 years old, whatever, it's right there, saying, what the hell is happening?
Yeah.
I'm not crazy. They're not crazy. Wait, you can't say that. Wait, but I can say this. Well, why can't I say this and they can't say that? There's so much confusion, chaos, and dis-ease, and just our capacity to reason and talk about it, that is also feeding, Liliana, this disease.
Yeah. No,
and it is killing this generation because they're the ones that have to plan their future and how they're going to live and family and
or the hope of the future.
The hope of the future.
Yeah.
And we have to rise up with the information we have and say, wait a minute, is this reasonable? And I love this discussion about illness because it's literally making our kids sick.
Yeah, we're getting emotional constipation.
Yeah.
Bottom line is if we can't digest what's going on in life, then we cannot let it go. Just like if you eat a food, you get the nutrition from it and then you eliminate it. Well, if we can't break it down, we're not eliminating.
It's ideas.
Yeah,
it's
that's
concepts,
what I'm talking about. But in
things,
general, if you kind of look at it, when I eat, I take the nourishment and then I release the excess. Well, when we have emotional upset and it's in our tissues and we don't reconcile with it, then it gets in the body.
How? I know at the clinic, there's all kinds of course remedies and we have resources and there's a lot of information on cancer.
Yeah.
There isn't enough information on prevention. There isn't enough information on what you can do right now and why it's imperative that you really make stepping into these places of rest, reconciling emotional, spiritual conflicts yourself. The food, the nutrition, you have a whole program that we're going to talk about this. But I want you to tell me, because you're very familiar with R.E.S.T and the work that I do, and we're single-mindedly focused on expanding this message on these conflicts, these conflicting ideas about everything in your life, from politics to economics to religion to health, to what you eat, to what you don't eat, to what you do, to what you don't do, to understanding this language of liberty that if you don't understand the function that your conscience has in all this, you're going to get sick because there's an assault on reason that we're experiencing right now. What, in your opinion, can a person listening to all of this do beyond? You go, you get your blood test, you go to the doctors, you see these things, you get a diagnosis, right? What in the most practical ways do you think we're doing it with R.E.S.T, right? We put education, we put things out there, but what beyond that in the most practical ways, advice you give people? Because we see the avalanches coming.
Yeah. And see, this is where, unfortunately, doctors aren't so great at. They're not really good at preventing. They're good at treating. Okay?
Yeah.
And so when we're talking about prevention, we talked about that 95% has to do with lifestyle. I think the first thing is to recognize what is your being state. All right. Now, one of the things the epidemic brought was isolation, what created separation, which created loneliness, which created depression, right? And so again, that's a lot of gut issues as well as the heart issues, right? And so I think the first thing is to just really take a temperature of how happy I am. And to recognize that happiness is not outside of myself. And one of the things that Virginia said in one of the podcasts we did is that words have power. So if I throw a stone across a river, it's still going to reverberate after it leaves my hand. So what is the impact of us in life, right? And can we take a really embrace it with that's our responsibility. Whatever we created out there, if it was a negative response that we got, can we have compassionate curiosity to why they reacted that way? So again, it's just really being authentic. I want to go back to that again.
I like that.
Because if you're not authentic, then you're somebody else. And if you're
right,
somebody
but what does it mean to be authentic?
Does it mean to be authentic is to recognize, number one, I'm a spiritual being. And this is a school of hard knocks to some degree. And that I can come from a place of giving myself grace, giving myself a level of forgiveness, and also giving myself the mindset of that I'll never be perfect. Never. But
if something's not right, act on it.
Act upon it.
Don't pretend it's not happening.
Like if your child had a stomach ache, you wouldn't say, come back in an hour. Let's see if it goes away. You wouldn't be a very good mother. So that's exactly what I say is instead of doing, because we are very much operating from the adult point of view. I tell my patient, operate from a 4-year-old's point of view. If you were a good mother and you took your kids shopping, you would bring snacks. You would bring things because otherwise you'd have a child that's going to be annoying to you. I'm hungry. Well,
have a meltdown. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Have a meltdown. So the thing is we don't treat ourselves like we would with unconditional love. We're hungry. We say, well, wait for 4 hours after we get this project done. You're tired. We'll wait wait till, rest tomorrow because you got to get this thing done till 2:00 in the morning. So we really don't pay attention. So I really try to get my patients to understand you are that 4-year-old little girl, because that 4-year-old little girl is in control of your immune system.
So
right?
Good that you said that, Liliana. Yesterday, I had a situation that I see frequent. And this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful person comes into my office and completely melts down beyond anything you can imagine. The parent, of course, does what every parent does and goes, oh my gosh, they can't survive this. I can't survive this. What are we going to do? They go into panic mode, anxiety, right? Mm-hmm. Talk about attachment issues. And it was really, really interesting. Immediately, 3 years old comes to mind. The number 3 just came to mind right here. I'm completely calm and peaceful. I know exactly what to do. I don't know how far it's going to get me, but I know exactly what to do. So I'm at peace. And, and Liliana, you've experienced these things. And sure enough, I'm talking to the parent afterwards and saying, gosh, there's some significant attachment things. This is what we have to repair, and this is how we can do it. It's not going to take years and months, by the way. I'm talking about 1 or 2 meetings. Yeah. And then everybody does what they know they already have to do with some support, or they don't. But I know how to stabilize the central nervous system. I can tell how to get all the debris out of his body. I can tell you how to do this, this, and this. And then the rest, I think we can take care of this pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, 2, 3, 4 meetings max with Sarah said, frankly, and 3 EVOC sessions in the beginning, 1 maybe at the end. This is a done deal.
Yeah.
It was amazing. But
don't you
the dad started, what?
Don't you also realize that you have to actually treat the parents?
100%. So I'm telling the parent
well?
this. Well, guess what? I'm sitting here. Exactly. So I'm sitting here telling the dad all this, and he's crying. Like just of relief. It's like, oh my gosh, you just took the worst situation. Da, da, da. And the reason we speak with so much conviction about the things we're saying, because I know you've experienced what I'm saying.
Yeah. We've done it.
We've done it. Yeah. It's not complicated. It just takes intentionality. It takes calling a spade. It takes using these biometric, these acoustic mirroring systems, these biofeedback systems, these things that we have to do these things quickly and strategically. Yeah. Do you know what? I said 3 years old, 3.5 years old, what happened? And the dad starts literally like bawling. Oh, he starts giving me a whole narrative, and it was like a beautiful bow on the package of this amazing morning we had. Because there it was.
Yeah. Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
the body's purging.
Yeah.
The person's gently able to identify. The dad with humility and the mother with humility and the relatives are able to confirm. And so we're all in sync. See? So it's something we all do together. That's why I don't believe in the diagnosis, the treatment, and the cure. They know exactly what's wrong. Right. They don't need a diagnosis. And they certainly don't need to go on a record for the rest of their life. It was an amazing thing to experience. Not because we don't know it and we haven't experienced it. Every time it's so miraculous, it's like new. These systems are in place in your body and your physiology.
For your benefit.
Yes.
Because every cell has an intelligence of survivability. Every single cell in the body.
That's amazing. And they'll tell you the age if you listen.
Yeah.
Liliana, it's amazing when what you just said is so compelling. The very cells, the very anatomy, the constitution of a person will tell you the narrative. They're either going to speak it or you're going to watch it. You're going to pick it up. You're going to watch it happen.
Yeah.
Cells tell a story.
Yeah,
what is it?
Well, they have a cellular intelligence, not just of your own personal life, but of generational patternings, right? And they're all programmed for pro-life. Okay, so they get just as stressed out, when they think that, because see, they're responding on the milieu of your body, the terrain. You put a petri dish and you're trying to grow a healthy cell in there. If you don't have the right terrain, it won't grow. Then you change the milieu and all of a sudden now it starts to grow. So you've got a healthy environment. And so you have to bathe the cells with healthy environment in regards to
the terrain.
How I'm living my life. The words we speak, the words we think, the connection that we have to. See, if you're out of sync with nature, you're out of sync with your own personal life. And look how many of us are out of sync with nature. We rarely even go outside. We wonder why we have we are 42nd healthiest globally. That's insanity. When we have the most technology and we are the richest, at this time globally. So it's just like we really missed the mark.
And
Talk
poor,
about sin.
and
it's
the
like
poverty.
We missed the mark. Yeah.
We may have a lot of wealth, but we're spiritually impoverished.
Right. So again, the cellular memory, it's like always giving us clues in regards of, danger, whether it's, when we're going to pick up what I would consider bad food. I only look at bad foods when they're devitalized, they're what I would have processed. I don't look at a bad food because some food that comes from nature could be somebody's medicine, but somebody else's poison. So I'm looking at manufactured processed type of food, right? The body knows not to have it, just like a cigarette. It's like, you shouldn't eat that, right? But then the mind is overriding it with the desire for some emotional, comfort, and it takes it anyway. So what you're doing is your cells are programmed for pro-life, but you're saying death, 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 death. Imagine the stress that even goes through on a cellular level, creating inflammation just for that.
By that
but
exchange.
Not choosing the right choices in life.
Just to stay consistent with things I say all the time. And again, I want to have this discussion between you and I, because I know what you mean by what you're saying. What Liliana is saying is that the impulse is the reactivity of the central nervous system that wants it and it's going to take it. But the mind is the soul that knows better and says, no, you probably shouldn't be having that. But the impulse is the central nervous system, the body that craves, right? Like, for example, if you crave a lot of sugar, the dopamine, and that's the body, that's the emotion. But the feelings are of guilt, of shame, of regret, of I'm going to regret this. I'm going to regret this. Yeah, but I want it.
Yeah.
The soul, no, you're going to regret this. And I think that's what you were talking about. Yeah. And I didn't want them to get confused because it sounded like you were saying the opposite of what I tell them all the time.
Oh, yeah, no.
Did that make sense?
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense.
Okay,
absolutely.
good. I want to make sure we were in alignment so there's not confusion.
No, absolutely. Because see, your brain has remembered absolutely everything pleasurable you've ever done. Everything.
Yep, that's true.
So it has a dopamine pathway. So again, if eating, this cupcake soothes me, and gives me a sense of, love, well, then it's a natural reaction.
I want it.
I want it. I need that. It's a drug. I need to have that regardless of, right. All addictive things, short-term benefit, long-term negative effects, right? And so this is what we're seeing is the long-term negative effects of a lifestyle. Like Dr. Gabor Mate wrote a book and it's called The Myth of Normal, Living in a Toxic World.
So good.
It's so good. And it's not talking about the toxicity. I mean, he talks about that of the environment, but he's talking about, what we consider normal is a very toxic environment, not going outside all day for your children and letting them play on, these, technological, the iPads or, cell phones. That's not normal.
Yeah.
Kids, for them to be normal, they need to get, they need to be unplugged. They need to get out in nature. And so
barefoot, playing dirt.
Look how far away.
And
look how far away we are from, being in alignment with nature.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and not only that, the reason I believe it's so toxic, I've been really reasoning through this well.
Yeah.
Everything that is feeding you is the antithesis of what sustains the life in your organism, because you're really being programmed. You're being indoctrinated. Yeah. There's a lot of good information, but there's also a lot of toxic content there.
Right.
And in those split-second increments of time, they're so strategic about how they do this that you're being indoctrinated really and conditioned to comply and to absorb and to take. And before you know it, you're kind of in an autistic state, taking in incredible amounts of information that's programming your subconscious mind, your brain.
Hypnotic suggestion.
And so what ends up happening, by virtue, the content of what's being fed to you is in conflict with how your body works. Right?
Hey.
So the brain develops workarounds, and that's where those dopamine receptors get out of control and all that other stuff.
No, and that
anyway, I don't know if that made sense, but
yeah, and that reminds me too. Is just like when child begins to learn about conflict at a very early age in regards to, I feel this and I express that, but you tell me it's different, and since you're the authority, I've got to believe you and not me.
It's something as simple of like if they fall and they scrape their knee and they start crying and the mother goes, oh, it's okay. You're okay. You're okay. And it's like, well, obviously they're not okay. They're crying. They know that they're crying. They know that they're hurt, but their mom's telling them they're okay. That causes conflict in itself.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I have a real good story behind that, right? Because my mother, bless her soul, she was a warrior woman. You know what I mean? She could do absolutely everything, right? And she was a great chef. So she would cut herself all the time. And she would, we'd be panicked, blood coming out of her, her thumb or whatever. And she'd go to the bathroom. We'd all follow her to the bathroom, and she'd take the alcohol out and she'd pour it all over. And she'd say, "Get out of here. I'm fine. I'm okay. Well, what did that lead me to believe? That led me to believe that when the difficult things happen to me or situations happen to me, I've got to be fine. Even if I'm not fine.
Yeah.
Right. So I learned to have
don't ask for help.
And don't ask for help. But I learned how to have more of it's not even a resilience, more of a thicker skin of just push past this discomfort, but at whose cost?
Well,
Mine.
And fast forward to the story that this whole segment began with. And that is when you were pregnant with Annalisa.
Yeah.
All the crazy things and all the things you were in conflict with, but you supported, you were silenced, you're this, and you didn't flush all those emotions out. And it manifests in a developmental consequence in her lip, as did Jordan's in her brain with me. And again, it's not to shame.
We don't have to feel guilty about it. We don't have to feel guilty because it's been our greatest teacher. And it's also their greatest teacher.
Yeah.
And if we didn't mess that up, it would be something else.
Yeah.
We're people that are broken and we have limitations. But it's amazing to discuss how our limitations can be brought into alignment with the will and the intention of a creator God that put these amazing systems in place. And in this day and age, they're not invisible to man. They're very visible.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
On so many levels.
I know, so many levels.
Lily, I want to just announce and mention this amazing program. 30 seconds. Tell everyone what you're making available to them online. And we're going to collaborate in this. It's going to be on our website, and R.E.S.T is going to be on your website. And you're going to use this so we can, again, bring these narratives together so we can help heal the whole person. Tell us a little bit about it.
Oh, one of the good things that COVID brought in was the platform of being able to have online courses and to be able to reach people all over the world. So many of our patients do come from, out of state and even from other countries. And so I created an online program on how to live your life. And so it goes through all of these elements in regards of how you eat, how you think, how you love, how you move, how you detox, and how you maintain these results. So I developed 6 pillars to keto stacking because each pillar builds upon the next one. And so we go through the science of food and exercise.
You have a cookbook
I have a
go
cookbook.
along
I'm
with this.
so excited about my cookbook. And so the beautiful thing about it, it's a medical cookbook, which means it's all the recipes are, full of aromatic herbs and anti-inflammatory benefits. So again, it's for anybody, whether they're a vegetarian or they're a meat eater. I have recipes for both, but gluten-free, sugar-free, things of that nature, because it was very important for people to understand that the cure is in the kitchen. Even if they don't like to cook, we could put some simple things together. So I put an online course together that goes over a 7-week period. But the first week is all about kind of getting them ready to kind of digest what we're going to do in the next 6 weeks. And then we start the course. And so the beautiful thing about it is I've pre-recorded everything. So every single day you'll get a tidbit, and that is a 3 to 5 minute inspirational video in regards to where they can potentially put their time and attention on today. So we can just do, again, that digest little bites as we go along. And then during the week, they have all of these different videos that I put together. So they're just 20 minutes. So instead of, doing an hour to 2 hours, they're just doing it at their leisure. So again, that's the beautiful thing about it. They can do it in the comfort of their home.
I like the tip idea, and I like the tip idea, and I like the reminder.
Yeah.
And I just like that it's practical, and
it's super,
I'm going to start it finally after all this time. We've talked about it for years. I've tried, but now I'm going to see if I can.
And then, so of course, accountability is really important. So I have Zoom classes that I do 3 times a month with them. So I'll do, but now I'm going to actually be doing it weekly because I'm finding that if I can just kind of go through the course with them, they're going to have a better outcome of them. And I actually teach a cooking course once a month so that they can see how easy it is. Like this next week, we're going to do detox soups because fasting on specificity of foods is really important for.
Can someone just do the cooking class?
They can. Yeah, well, they can do the cooking class. In fact, I'm going to start putting it out there, like just as a teaser for, a free cooking class online and stuff like that. So I can let you know so that you can send it out to your people.
Yeah, let us know. Because this feels overwhelming right now. Yeah. We can at least get a cooking class.
You can at least get a cooking class. But the beautiful thing about it, it's I kind of made it at 5th grade level of thinking, in regards of because if information was all you needed, we'd all be, healthy and all smart already. So it's really broken down into really simplistic method. And so over that 6-week period, you pretty much need everything you need to know on how to live a healthy life. You have all the support you need. You have all the books together for every single week. So you've got these workbooks to work with. So I don't think I've left anything out,
Wow, that's
from
awesome.
the emotions to, the biology, to the psychology, to the detoxification. So I'm really proud of it. And we've had a lot of success with that course. And people, like yesterday, they were just like, the reason that, one of the greatest things about, my week is that, just the enthusiasm, the excitement that you have for all this. And sometimes we need like a pump to be pumped up like a tire,
Yeah.
And so as you well know, the accountability is so terribly important. So so we can put a download for the free keto, the cookbook that I put together. So your audience can start right away with kind of having a look at that.
Yeah. And that's all going to be included in the description.
Yeah. And then because I have these every couple of months, I will launch a campaign. And so I'm going to be doing that pretty soon. So we can invite everybody to the free masterclass so they can get a little bit more information.
Of a taste.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Taste of healing.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lily.
You're welcome.
Love you.
Love you too, honey.
All right, everyone. If you'd like to get in touch with Liliana, follow the links in the description to schedule an appointment, gain access to her cookbook, and register for her class, of course. For updates about R.E.S.T and this podcast, please visit our Instagram or Facebook, The Place of R.E.S.T. If you would like more information about Virginia or to support and join the cause of R.E.S.T, please go to virginiadixon.com/collaborate or call 949-289-5935. Thank you for listening to R.E.S.T with Virginia Dixon. We'll see you next week.